The rain was heavy the night my mother died. What I didn't see through the blur of headlights was that the man flashing them would later hold my hand in the hospital and call it destiny. Welcome to Cammy the storyteller. The rain was heavy that night. Not the gentle kind. The kind that blurs the road, drowns the sound of reason, and makes everything feel urgent. I was sitting in the passenger seat, my mother driving. She was upset. Not angry, just tired. She had been arguing on the phone with someone earlier, but she didn't tell me who. The radio was playing softly. Then suddenly, bright headlights filled the rearview mirror. Too close. Too aggressive. "Why is this car so close?" my mother muttered. The next thing I remember, a violent jolt. The car spun. My mother screamed my name. And then, nothing. When I opened my eyes, everything was white. The smell of medicine. The sound of machines. And sitting beside my bed was a man I barely knew. Daniel. He was my mother's former student. Quiet. Polite. Always respectful. He was holding my hand like he had known me all my life. "You're safe," he whispered. Those were the first words I heard after waking from a coma. Later, I learned the story. A truck had lost control and hit our car. My mother died instantly. I survived. Daniel had been driving behind us. He pulled me from the car before it caught fire. He called the ambulance. He stayed at the hospital for days. Everyone called him a hero. So did I. From that moment, my life became attached to his. Grief makes you vulnerable. It makes you cling to whoever stands in the fire with you. Daniel didn't just visit. He stayed. He helped with burial arrangements. He helped me move into a smaller apartment. He cooked when I couldn't eat. He listened when I cried. He never rushed me. Never crossed boundaries. He just stayed. And slowly, gratitude turned into affection. Affection turned into comfort. Comfort turned into love. 2 years later, we got married. Everyone said it was destiny. I said it was God's mercy. I didn't know it was built on a secret. The first 5 years were peaceful. We built a small home. I started an interior design business. Daniel handled the finances. He was careful, detailed, organized. We had a daughter, Myra. She was calm, observant, and thoughtful. Our home was quiet, predictable, safe. I trusted him with everything. Why wouldn't I? This was the man who saved my life. One afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, is this Ava?" the voice asked. "Yes. I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm calling about the accident from years ago." My heart stopped. "What about it?" "There are things you were never told." Before I could ask more, the line went dead. That evening, I told Daniel casually, "Someone called about the accident today." He froze. Just for a second. Then smiled. Probably a scammer. And that was it. But that 1 second stayed with me. 3 weeks later, a brown envelope appeared in our mailbox. No return address. Inside was a copy of a police report. Not the one I had seen years ago, but a different version. One sentence was circled in red. Witness statement indicates a prior collision before truck impact. Prior collision? That was never mentioned. I confronted Daniel that night. He stared at the paper longer than necessary. "That's a mistake," he said. "There was chaos. People say anything. But it says witness statement." "You survived," he replied softly. "That's what matters." I wanted to believe him. So I did. But something inside me began to shift. A week later, I met a man at a cafe. He introduced himself as Kareem. He said he had been driving behind us that night. Not Daniel. Him. "I always wondered why your car slowed down suddenly," he said. "What do you mean?" "There was a car behind you, flashing headlights aggressively." My hands went cold. Daniel had been driving behind us. Trauma hides memories. That's what my therapist once said. Sometimes your brain locks away what it cannot handle. That night, I lay awake. Fragments returned. Rain on the windshield. My mother arguing on the phone. Bright headlights. Too close. Then, a sudden swerve. Had we been hit before the truck? The next morning, I asked Daniel one question. Do you remember flashing your headlights that night? He dropped his coffee cup. It shattered. He didn't answer immediately. That silence told me everything. I went to the police station quietly. Requested archived records. It took weeks. When the final file arrived, my hands shook. It stated, minor rear impact recorded before fatal collision. Driver of rear vehicle, Daniel Cole. Status, not charged. Reason, insufficient evidence of intent. My heart felt like it had been torn open. He had hit us. Before the truck. He caused my mother to lose control. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He didn't shout. He didn't lie. He just sat down. I didn't mean for her to die, he whispered. That sentence destroyed me. Not I didn't do it. Not it was a mistake. I didn't mean for her to die. He confessed everything. He had been obsessed with me. For years. My mother had warned him to stay away. That night, he followed us to talk. He flashed his headlights to make us stop. He got too close. The road was slippery. He tapped the back of our car. It spun. The truck couldn't stop. He swore he tried to save us. And he did. But he was also the reason we needed saving. My hero was the architect of my tragedy. Not because he planned murder, but because he created the chaos. And then built our entire relationship on silence. Every I love you. Every anniversary. Every smile. It was all built on a lie. I asked him one question. Would you have ever told me? He shook his head. No. I was afraid you'd leave. That was the real betrayal. Not the accident. The choice to let me live a lie. I left. Quietly. Without drama. I took Myra. Filed for separation. But I didn't press charges. Not because he didn't deserve consequences. But because revenge would not bring my mother back. Instead, I told the truth. To his family. To mine. To everyone who called him a hero. And I walked away with my dignity. Life after betrayal is not loud. It's quiet. Heavy. Lonely. But it's also healing. I focused on my daughter. On my business. On rebuilding my life. Daniel went to therapy. Publicly admitted what he did. Never defended himself. Never blamed me. He paid for my mother's memorial foundation, anonymously. He never asked to return as my husband. Only to be a father. Carefully. Slowly. Consistently. Years passed. Daniel changed. Not because he wanted me back, but because he finally faced himself. He became present. Honest. Humble. And Myra began to trust him again. Not as a hero, but as a flawed father trying to be better. I did not remarry him. This is not a story of romantic reunion. This is a story of accountability. We co-parent peacefully. He stands in the background of my life, not the center. One evening, I stood at my mother's memorial event. Myra held my hand. Daniel stood at the back of the crowd, not beside me. And for the first time, I felt free. Not bitter. Not angry. Just free. He was never my hero. But he became something else. A man who finally told the truth. And sometimes, the happiest ending is not getting back what you lost. It's refusing to live inside a lie. Not every savior is innocent. Gratitude can blind you. Love built on secrets will eventually collapse. Healing doesn't always mean revenge. Closure is stronger than reconciliation. Thank you for listening to Cammy the Storyteller. If you enjoyed the story, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.